Alright, so I'm headed out first thing in the morning, going to help my aunt move today. So, excuse me, I got the big 24-foot trailer hooked up back there. This is going to be my first time towing this trailer since I got the green diesel engineering tune on this truck. So, it'll be interesting to see how the transmission programming works out with the trailer now. We'll see, but I got to get out here to the main road, and I don't know how much footage I'll be able to shoot, but I'll come back later and give you my thoughts on towing with a green diesel tune. So stay with me, be back in a little bit. See if we can get an acceleration here. Of course, it won't be a full acceleration, but when the light turns green here, I mean, watch, this thing will get up to speed real nicely. No trouble at all. You can tell that it's really pulling hard with the newfound power and the transmission programming at higher speeds. You know, the way that it'll hold gear and just take advantage of the torque. I mean, it'll just get this big 24-foot trailer up to speed, no sweat. Looks like my diesel exhaust fluid is really falling off pretty quick, which is a little bit surprising. I need to do some more testing on that. I was under the impression that this tune would kind of decrease how much exhaust fluid it would use, but seems like so far I'm seeing the opposite effect. But yeah, I mean, it's doing a good job. You can see we're coasting down to a red light here, 7th gear, there goes 6th. So you can kind of see how it's holding gear longer than it would have in you know, factory programming. Light just turned green. Here we go again. 3rd gear. 4th and then 5th. So yeah, I mean, it's doing a pretty good job, and like I said, it's so effortless. That's what I love about the diesel engine, you know, on its own, is just that you have the torque where you need it in the power band, and then you add this green diesel engine tune on top of that and the transmission tune, and it just tows so effortlessly. I mean, it's just so easy for it to get up to speed and maintain speed as well. So, you know, I like it. I think it's doing a pretty good job. Now, on this particular road, I can't get to 65 miles an hour, so I'm gonna have to do some additional testing when I have an opportunity to get out on the interstate. Because out on the interstate, when I set the cruise at 65, that's when I was having that issue on the stock tune with the transmission hunting back and forth between 5th and 6th constantly. You know, like really fast shifting, 5, 6, 5, 6, 5, 6, like it was kind of hung up in the middle and it couldn't tell which gear it wanted, which of course builds a lot of heat, and it's terrible for the transmission to be doing that. So I need to get out on the interstate now with this green diesel engineering tune and kind of see if that issue has been cleared up. I assume that it will be, but I want to find out for sure. So I'll have to do that in another video, but for now, you know, out here on this 50-55 mile an hour road, you know, it's doing a really nice job, and it feels really good with this big trailer behind it. Honestly, it feels exactly the same as all of the full-size half-ton trucks that I've had before. It honestly does. You know, I mean, look at the steering wheel, just as straight as an arrow, no wandering or anything. It's just doing a great job. So I'm gonna head back to the house now though. But yeah, later on when I get an opportunity, I'll hook this trailer up, we'll go out on the interstate, do some higher speed towing, and just kind of see how the transmission operates out there. Doing good here in town though, and on the outskirts of town on these 4-lane 55 mile an hour highways, doing a real good job. So yeah, it seems like it's gonna be just fine towing the trailer But like I said, I need to wait until I get an opportunity to not only go out on a higher speed roadway, an interstate or something, but also get more weight on the trailer. Because normally I have, you know, another 1,500, 2,000 pounds worth of weight on the trailer. So it does make a little bit of a difference. So there will be some more towing coming up for sure. But for now, I'm actually going to take the transmission tune part out of the truck. You know, the funny thing about the GDE transmission tune is that the thing that makes it so awesome on the road, like out on the highway, I mean, is the same thing that makes it terrible around town, if that makes any sense. I mean, it's the way they have the torque converter programmed to lock up more of the time and hold gears more of the time. That's great when you're out on the highway, because that's the thing that allows you to dip into the throttle and stay in gear and just take off without downshifting. It's the thing that keeps the transmission from shifting around all the time. You know, it's so weird, because out on the road, it adds drivability to the truck. It makes the truck more enjoyable. But at lower speeds, around town, in neighborhoods, whatever the case might be, it's the polar opposite. It's just terrible. The more I drive it, the more I hate it. You know, and you take off first thing in the morning, I back out of the garage, I take off down the lane, it holds first gear, and the torque converter's locked up. And so it's one of those situations where if you lean into the pedal, it takes off, and if you let off of the pedal a little bit, you lurch forward, you know, like you hit the brakes. It'll finally shift to second at a certain speed. This morning I saw it hold second gear all the way to 3,100 RPM before it would shift to third. Now I'm talking about under, you know, gradual light acceleration like you normally drive. I'm not talking about pinning the throttle. You know, if you go wide open, it'll shift, you know. But I'm talking about just normal driving, leaving the house in the morning. Or we went to town, you know, we got some food at McDonald's, we shut the truck off for just 10 minutes and then turn it back on. And in that amount of time, it goes back to this shift pattern, you know, because I guess it does this when the engine's not up to full temperature or something. So like I said, easy throttle, it holds gear forever. It wants to stay in second until the cows come home. The torque converter's locked up, so if you lean into the throttle, like I said, you take off, and if you just, and you're like, oh my goodness, so your reaction is to let off of the throttle, but when you do that, it's like you hit the brakes. My wife was complaining about it this morning. I figured she would. To be honest, it is really, really annoying. So it's like this Jekyll and Hyde thing. It's so strange, you know, they've got it dialed in perfect for out on the road, but just around town, I'm talking about like below 25 miles an hour, you know, 25 to 30 sort of the threshold there. Anything below that, it'll just drive you insane. I just don't know why they did that. So anyway, it's 50-50 there for me. So I'm going to attempt to take the transmission tune portion out, put the stock transmission tune in, but leave the tuned engine PCM in there. So I'm going to be running the green diesel engine tuning without the green diesel transmission tuning. They told me that would probably lead to some issues, maybe even some check engine light issues, but I'm going to try it anyway and just see what happens. So it is what it is. Later on, when I get an opportunity to do some heavier towing at higher speed, I'll put the GDE trans tune back in, because I still want to see if it cured that fifth and sixth gear constant shifting issue. That's the main thing I want to find out about. But anyway, it is what it is. So FYI. So I'm riding my transmission back to stock. I thought that was interesting. Did you know that the shifter lights can light up orange? I guess they only do that to let you know that programming is in process. I don't know, but I just never knew that there was a multicolor LED in there. It's kind of cool. But anyway, I'm putting this back to stock mainly because I'm hoping that this is going to be the week that I get to take this truck over to the dealership and get the oil leak fixed. So I'm going to put everything back to stock so I don't have to risk getting things overwritten But I'm also curious just to see how this truck will drive with the engine tune still in place, but the stock transmission tuning in place. You know, they told me that it probably wouldn't work out so well, but I want to try it and see, because the GDE transmission programming is driving me nuts. You know, that torque converter lockup in first gear, second gear, third gear, the way that it behaves when it's not fully up to temperature. This morning it went to like 3,100 RPM before it would shift from second to third. It's just extremely annoying. So I'm going to drive it like this week with the stock trans tune, but the GDE engine tune, and just see what happens. You know, it might end up being the perfect marriage. Who knows? But we'll see. Getting ready for our local Christmas parade. I need to find a name for this guy here. Obviously, most of these guys have classic cars, really cool classic cars, but there's a few trucks in there, and there's even a rock crawler that you can't see way over there on the other row.
This Jeep.
So this is the first time I've actually been in a parade before. But what I find is that when I take this Jeep Gladiator out to places, even when there are a lot of classic cars that are honestly way cooler than this truck ends up getting all the attention. I mean, people just love these things. They've been out for a couple of years now and people just love them. And I've got my cool little elephant back there for the kids. So it should be fun. First time in a parade. You know, it's one thing about these Jeeps. A lot of people experience going off-road and doing, you know, adventures and things for the first time when they get a Jeep. Well, this is something I'm going to enjoy for the first time on the road in a Jeep. Here we go. Oh, and I've also got my taser in here so that I can do one of the light shows. I've got it on, this is one of the stock light shows. It says C1. It's actually pretty cool from outside the truck. I might have to show you that in a little while. Yeah, so check this out. And I'll tell you something else interesting that I'm going to try and do. Even though I'm on the road, I switched down to low range. And you know, obviously you don't want to do that in your daily driving out on the pavement, but we're going to be going at really low speed, obviously, because it's a parade. And what I'm thinking is, in low range, I can just use manual shifting, put this thing in first gear, and it'll just creep along without wearing out my leg. Because I'm thinking that, you know, with this parade stopping and going, stopping and going, stopping and going, it'll probably wear my leg out after a while. I don't know. I'm going to try it and see. It might work out pretty good. Low range on the street. This is the only time you'll get to do that. Well, unless it snows 2 feet. Yeah, so in practice, the 4 low idea is not working out so good because this thing has so much torque that I have to ride the brake pedal all the time. So, oh well, it was at least worth a shot, right? You never know until you try. It's kind of cool though. I've already had some kids that I heard talking about the elephant back there. I need to give it a name, I guess.